I was recently asked this question as to whether white people have more parasites and if that drives things like racism and violence and intolerance towards non-white people. And the answer to both of those questions is yes.
Hygiene is cultural.
I don't wash my legs in the shower. I don't know why my legs would be dirty.
And this series came about because over the past couple of years, I've discovered so many hygienic practices or lack thereof that seem pretty normal for white people.
Do you use a washcloth? No, me either.
I think disgusting.
Am I scrubbing my body with a washcloth?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I know.
I cannot wait for the comments on this one, but white people, we're gross, and I just learned yet another reason why.
This discourse talking about how white people don't know how to wash themselves is really fascinating to me, and so I want to share my experience about how I actually learned how to wash.
Why not just rock it natural, though?
White people have lice and black people got dandruff.
Wait, what does that have to do with that, though?
Like, cause they got bugs in their hair. Like, I feel like who accumulate bugs in their hair? I feel like that.
Yes. Very much traumatizing. Very much. I have lice medication in my hair right now. Why? Why? My extensions are soaking in lice medication. Why? Fucking why?
Have you heard about the girl who died from having lice?
She was only 9 years old. The young girl was living under the care of her mother, 38-year-old Sandra, and grandmother Elizabeth, who was 64 years old.
White people are 35 times more likely to get lice than black people. 0.3 to 0.5% of black school children get lice as opposed to 10% of white people. Don't give me that, oh, all have gray hair, some have bad hair.
Yes, I have lice in my hair and I want to keep them because they are friends.
Fucking white people. Oh. I just can't today.
You Google what color are most parasites, it's going to tell you most parasites are white, translucent, and pale. Right? It's not hate speech, that's actual fact. If you Google what color are parasites, it would tell you most parasites are white. All these parasites are white.
You do not have body wash.
No.
In your house.
No. Haven't for years.
If I went over to your house,
you would see shampoo, conditioner, no body wash.
Imagine the kind of racism where you think just because you're white, you believe that's somehow a reason not to take hygiene as seriously as black people, with the mentality of dirt and poor hygiene belong to black people. I mean, imagine proudly admitting you don't wash your legs, you don't use, washcloth, or don't even keep body wash in your house, and then acting like it's completely, normal. That's exactly the debate taking over social media. Now, in this video, we are looking at a viral discussion where people are comparing different hygiene habits and questioning why some of these practices seem to be common in, white communities. But the conversation goes even further, with people bringing up lice, parasites, and studies that show that different rates of head lice among, different groups exist. Some creators even argue that these hygiene habits reflect deeper cultural differences, while others strongly disagree. But what's so fascinating is that many of these people making these admissions are describing their own experiences. So it's always good to hear something from, somebody who is explaining it from their own experience. And some openly admit to say, like, they're surprised by what they learned. So anyway, are these just internet stereotypes or isolated personal stories? Is there something more behind these things that we really need to have conversation about? Anyway, let's dive into this, brothers and sisters, and then learn something. After that, we can come for more commentaries. Otherwise, if this is your first time, please subscribe for more of this. I'll see you somewhere at the end.
Hygiene is cultural.
I don't wash my legs in the shower. I don't know why my legs would be dirty.
And this series came about because over the past couple of years, I've discovered so many hygienic practices or lack thereof that seem pretty normal for white people.
Do you use a washcloth? No, me either.
I think disgusting.
Am I scrubbing my body with a washcloth?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I know.
And how that is just conversely different to how I grew up as a black person and how many black, brown, Latino people grew up.
You do not have body wash.
No.
In your house.
No. Haven't for years.
If I went over to your house,
you would see shampoo, conditioner, no body wash.
Wait, so you use shampoo and
Yes, every month or so. Every morning I get in the shower, I get under the water, wet the hair, wash the face, With what? With water.
Athlete's foot and lice are two things that black people think we can't get, even though we can get it. The frequency of how we bathe and the fact that we wash our feet. I'm just thinking that athlete's foot is probably an issue because y'all are not washing your feet as much as you should.
Do you wash your feet in the shower? No. Or your legs? Legs, barely. Occasionally, though. Below the knee. Below the knee? Not usually. I can't remember.
I can't remember the last time I've washed my legs in the shower.
This discovery, I'm trying to learn the aversion to cleanliness.
How often do you change your socks?
Like maybe twice a week.
Not enough. Oh, not enough. Why? Sometimes I just forget. When I go to bed with socks on, I can't sleep without socks.
And how that kind of trickles over to the kitchen, like how you guys are telling us we're wrong for cleaning our chicken and cleaning our meat, but then you don't wash your legs and you don't wash your feet. So like, why would we listen to you about that when you don't wash your whole body when you're in the shower?
I don't wash my hands.
Oh, I was gonna say that too.
I don't care. I'm done. I'm done hiding it. And why do girls have to wash it? We don't touch nothing.
We don't even touch nothing.
Why do I have to wash my hands? For what? I'm not sticking my hand up my vagina. If I'm in a public restroom and there's people in the stalls, I will, even after I pee, go to the sink, wash the water, like pretend. Run the water, pretend I'm washing my hands.
Or since this series started, I'll like be soaping up my body and I get to my legs. I always say to myself, could you just stop here and let the soap trickle down?
Do you guys wash your legs in the shower? No, because sometimes I do, but I don't do it often. And when I do, I kind of like reserve it as like a treat.
No, I don't, to be fair.
How come?
Because I've got hairy legs, and all I do is let the shower gel go down there, and that's about it.
No, because it's getting out of hand now. Is anybody worried about their health?
And I'm like, absolutely not. So it's very intriguing to me to find these videos of people willingly not bathing their kids, teaching your...
How often are you guys bathing your kids? And the majority of you are doing it every night. I don't think that's necessary. How often do I bathe my kids? Once a week.
Not washing your whole body, and then not washing in general.
Do you use a washcloth? Kind of hurt by this because I try to look. I get up at 4:45 a.m. I try to look my best and look clean. Do I not look clean?
That's really not what the question is
that
about.
not
Do,
what-
do you use a wash? Not do you shower? Do you use the actual washcloth?
I have a washcloth in my bathroom that I use for my hands when I wash my hands after using the restroom. Does that
In
count?
the shower? Do you use?
No. What the heck? Specifically use it to wash your legs specifically?
No,
like
everything. Your body, the whole body.
Yeah.
You can't use your hands?
Well, you could, but
We'll get there one day. Hopefully we can find the answer. But for today, I'm just as confused.
We all know that if black folks got lice like white folks do, the conversation surrounding...
Absolutely, and we have proof of this. Texturism is just the belief that people who have kinky hair are innately dirty or not clean. But also I want to talk about how in a lot of African countries, people in school are forced to keep their 4C hair very short because of cleanliness reasons, which just isn't true. And there's always this preconceived notion that our hair is innately dirty, even when we are proving many times again that it's not. And I do know that black people can get lice, but it's just not to the rates as any other group, but yet our hair is still called dirty.
I was recently asked this question as to whether white people have more parasites and if that drives things like racism and violence and intolerance towards non-white people. And the answer to both of those questions is yes. One of the driving factors for this is the lack of melanin. Melanin is one of the most important aspects of the immune system. It's anti-parasitic, it's antioxidant, and it's also metal chelating, as well as it's a semiconductor for energy. It's the most fundamentally important molecule in all of biology. Without this natural barrier against parasites and the reduction of sun exposure, which further increases and cleanses the body of parasites, white people have developed extremely high parasite loads. And this goes all the way back to Roman Empire. You can take a look at their hygiene practices, medieval Europe, the Renaissance, and finally through colonization. So these two factors, higher susceptibility to parasites, as well as hundreds of years, generation after generation of cultivating high parasite loads, has caused white people to be naturally more parasitized. High parasite stress is found to do two things in the domain of psychosocial studies. It leads to hyperindividuality and hyperaggression. This is true for any social species of animal throughout the entire world. We'll use ants as an example. If an ant colony is infected with a tapeworm, the infected ants will subtly, because of the tapeworm, release a pheromone that conditions the entire colony to have that hyperindividuality and hyperaggression. It makes the ants lazy and sluggish it also makes them extremely defensive. They'll start to attack their neighbors preemptively, fearing that there will be some kind of attack against them, so they lash out. There's a notable reduction in teamwork. They no longer serve the queen, but serve the interests of the infected few ants. And all of this is so that the infected ants have a stronger chance of survival, so that the tapeworm can complete its life cycle, which in this example, it wants to be eaten by a bird. So if we were to take a look at humans in the course of history, we take a look at white people from that perspective of biology, we're going to see them as an invasive species. We're going to see white people as aggressively colonizing, as well as hyper-individualistic. They lack teamwork, except the only time you'll really see strong teamwork is when they come to the defense of a guilty member who is being accused or found guilty of some kind of crime. White people will come into the defense of community only when there's a threat to their whiteness, to that supremacy or superiority. When white people commit a crime, they are protected, their identity is protected, and usually the narrative is spun so that they come out as a hero. But all you have to do is trace the tracks of history. During colonialization, the reason why sickness was so widespread in native nations was because the hygiene practices, the culture conditions, the microbial culture, and vice versa. Well, that had gone into such a high parasite load that the colonizers devastated the ecosystem of native microbiomes. Basically, their immune systems weren't prepared for the sheer amount of evolved parasites that white people had conditioned and lived with and become accustomed to. White people had been living in filth for hundreds of years and so became carriers of disease. But it does more than that. When we take a look at ants, and we can see that parasites influence pheromones, for humans, we don't use pheromones to communicate, but we use ideologies. And so the parasites, they influence the ideologies. The ideologies of white people is to see everyone as an enemy, to conquer, to propagate the parasites, and to suppress, oppress, and enslave others around them. And now the ideologies of the parasitized science of Western imperialism denies the usefulness of deworming. They say that the sun is bad. And this is only going to get worse as the sun's intensity hits Earth harder. White people are going to retreat from the sun more and more and continually to cultivate worse and worse microbiomes that are toxic to ecosystems and other humans. And you need to look no further than the atrocities committed by white people against indigenous populations, against slaves, and still to this day in foreign countries, and against immigrants, and really anyone who isn't white. In no way am I saying that white people are blameless. What I'm saying is that this is the way it is. This is part of the driving factor. This is part of the motivating force. White people inherently are more susceptible to parasites, and if we look at history, they have been cultivating more and more extreme toxicity and high parasite stress in their microbiomes. This destroys community, drives hyper-individualization, drives hyper-aggression against non-parasitized members. In other words, it becomes white versus non-white people because it's the parasitized versus the non-parasitized. The burden of responsibility is on white people to change and to fight against the oppression that their system has given them the ample opportunities and access and privilege of. This is merely biologically, psychosocially, historically, ideologically, how things went, how they're going. White people created an entire system of racism because of the melanin content of someone's skin. White people are fundamentally more parasitized. That's just a fact of their biology. And until they take steps to overcome that, they're going to keep doing what white people have always been doing. You can take a look at the leaders of the regimes of white countries. They're transhumanists, pedophiles, warmongers, colonizers. Cultural practices condition the microbial culture, and white people's culture is parasitically driven.
Have you heard about the girl who died from having lice?
She was only 9 years old. The young girl was living under the care of her mother, 38-year-old Sandra, and grandmother Elizabeth, who was 64 years old. Now, in the days leading up to her death, She had contracted severe lice. Now, according to her siblings, her mother had tried to treat this lice with mouthwash. That obviously didn't work, and things got really bad on the 22nd of March. They got so bad that Sandra actually texted her boyfriend whether she should take her daughter to the hospital. Now, he actually said yes, but the grandma actually said it was not a good idea. The young girl actually ended up passing away from complications caused by severe lice. Both her mother and grandmother were charged with child abuse. Now, the young girl's other siblings were relocated to other relatives' houses. Now, if you want to hear more real-life stories, remember to follow.
I cannot wait for the comments on this one, but white people, we're gross, and I just learned yet another reason why. So my 3-year-old son is in nursery school, right? And we got an email the other day that said that there was lice happening at the school. Gross. So I follow the links to like the CDC page on head lice. And I, of course, buy all the products and get the knit comb and all the things. And I'm studying the information on the CDC page when what to my wondering eyes should I come across but the little fun fact that African American communities experience less lice than white people. It just makes me think of what a nice compliment that is to the TikTok I saw the other day. Oh, I wish I could remember who created it, with the guy talking about how when the Europeans came here to the US, then, you know, Turtle Island, the indigenous people could smell them like football fields away. And they were like so repulsed that they begged them to bathe, and they taught them how to have appropriate levels of hygiene. And they say white people have no culture. It's in our blood. We're disgusting.
This discourse talking about how white people don't know how to wash themselves is really fascinating to me, and so I want to share my experience about how I actually learned how to wash and what it looked like in my white supremacist Mormon household growing up. Now, I always had washcloths available to me. They were always under the sink. It wasn't really enforced or taught. It was always in the bathtub. And it seemed like there was just kind of like one in there, and then we'd change it every week. I was never touching it. I don't know if my siblings were touching it. I know when we were younger, we'd play with it in the tub. But when it comes to washing, the grossest thing that still grosses me out to this day thinking about it is how we would share bathwater. I had 4 siblings. We'd all share bathwater. When we were younger, it was either like 2 and 2 would go, or like after we'd each go in the last person's bathwater. The grossest thing was my older sister. We're 22 months apart. She sometimes would shower with my younger sister. And when she was like 9 or 10 years old, our youngest sister came to us and told us that, hey, there's yellow stuff in the bathwater. And my older sister tooted. And we're like, what? We ended up getting out of my older sister that she was peeing in the bathwater. Now, mind you, me and her are 22 months apart. We shared bathwater my entire childhood. I always thought we were clean until 2005 when I moved to Atlanta. White people don't talk about cleanliness. White people don't talk about cleaning themselves. White people don't talk about lotion. White people don't talk about their hair nearly to the scale that the black community does. I went there and I was dumbfounded by how much they held each other accountable to their appearances. Nails, hair, everything pristine all the time. And my mom, I felt like, was very much like that growing up, but it felt like this was like up like 10 notches. So that's kind of where I learned most of the things you should be doing, like moisturizing after you shower. I learned that in Atlanta.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Now let's talk about it. You see, after watching everything that was said in this video, one question kept coming to my mind. Like, imagine living in a world where people automatically assume you are the one who has to prove you are clean simply because of how you look, simply because you are black. I mean, that's a stereotype many people have pushed for years. But then social media comes along and people start sharing their own personal experiences. Suddenly, the conversation begins to change. You see, people start asking difficult questions. People start comparing habits. People start wondering where certain stereotypes even came from in the first place. And honestly, that's what caught my attention the most in this video. You see, for so long, some communities have had negative labels attached to them. They were told like they were not enough clean, okay? They were not clean enough. They were told that their natural features were somehow a problem. We're talking of black people. They were judged before anyone even know like their personal habits. Just because of how they look, they are black, then they are dirty, you know, all those things. But in this discussion, many of those assumptions were being challenged. That's why, you know, millions of people reacted so strongly. We can see that no, it's not as what history has been, you know, saying. It now turns out to be white people are the ones who do not take, you know, seriously about their health, about their hygiene. Not because anyone can agree with this, but because the conversation flipped like a stereotype that many people had, you know, accepted without ever questioning it. One viewer even shared a comment that stood out to me. I mean, let's read this comment. You know, this comment said, "Lice is attracted to hair oil that the scalp produces. Black Americans don't get lice because our hair don't produce oil like white people do. Things have changed with biracial kids. It may be different. Lice don't like our hair." Now, looking at that comment, I think, yeah, of course, there's somebody's opinion, but I think there's much sense in that. You know, that comment really stood out to me. And whether people agreed with every part of that comment or you don't agree, but I think it shows how strongly people feel about challenging long-held assumptions that black people, just because their skin color is black, and then it means they are dirty, they have to keep washing their body so much, and others think just because they are white, then they are all clean, they don't need to wash themselves up. No, it doesn't really work that way. And you know, it also reminds us that if we are going to discuss topics like hygiene, I think facts matters, and the stereotypes should always be questioned. It shouldn't be something that should be believed without question. Because here's like the bigger issue. You see, nobody should assume another person is cleaner or another person is wiser or is more like hygienic simply because of their appearance. Just because they are white, it doesn't mean they are clean. We are hearing stories of white people having, you know, in more lice than black people. Now, if you are white, you are clean, you think you are clean just because you are white, where is that lice coming from? We heard a story of somebody who died because of, you know, this thing. Why did it happen? Good hygiene is not only by one community. Cleanliness is also not determined by, you know, skin tone, like the way you look. It's determined by individual habits. If you are taking care of yourself, then it will be good for you. If you are not taking care of yourself, then that's okay. So what surprised, you know, many viewers is that though people were hearing about the habits they were personally described, those admissions sparked the debate because, you know, they are coming from white people. Okay, some even proudly say, "I don't take it seriously." Somebody even said she doesn't care having the lice because they're like, you know, I mean, like they're neighbors, you know. Why do you say that? So anyway, these are not assumptions. These are not rumors, but they are only words admitting that, yeah, we white people don't take, you know, body wash seriously. We white people don't, you know, wash our legs. Of course, not all of them, but, you know, these people are saying from, you know, their own mouth. That's why this conversation spread so quickly across social media. And it wasn't one person, of course, making that claim. It was video after video, story after story, reaction after reaction. Some people nodded in agreement. They were like, yeah, doesn't really take it seriously. Okay, they change their socks once in a week, twice in a week. Why? Because you think you are white. You think you are always good to go. Others couldn't believe why they were like what they were hearing. And that's what made this discussion impossible to like ignore. Now, looking back, I think there are like 5 major, clearly seen, major themes that, we can wrap this thing up. Let's talk about it. What exactly are the major themes discussed in this video? Theme number 1, hygiene routines. Now, let's talk about it. Hygiene routines, including bathing habits, wash clothes, body wash, washing legs, feet, and the overall personal cleanliness. What exactly? People must take this seriously without looking at their skin color. Okay? It's not because you are white then you are good to go every time. No, you can have some smell if you're not taking care of yourself. Theme number 2, conversations about headlines, Parasites, and the different claims people made about why white people report different race than others. So that's what was discussed in this video. Theme number 3, cultural traditions, and how families pass hygiene habits from one generation to the next. Somebody explained that like her parents never taught her how to clean. She could see the tools for cleaning, but the parents were not really caring that much to teach the children. And this one has passed through generations and generations up until we can still see some rise within white community. Why? It's not like their habit. For them, being white, you are good to go. For them being white, then yeah, you have you don't have anything to worry about. But black people, they have to wash themselves like 20 times a day just because their skin color. Why is that the case? So it's something that has to be passed through generations and generations. Like parents should teach their children that it's not about skin color. Death is death. It's not about skin color. This paradise, these lies can still follow you no matter what, as long as you're not caring for your life. Now, theme number 4, let's talk about the stereotypes, especially the way long-standing assumptions about cleanliness were like challenged, were like questioned and debated throughout the discussion. You see, people have been looking at black people as the people who are naturally dirty. They are naturally of poor hygiene. They are natural. No matter how much they wash their bodies, still they are unclean people. That's the stereotypes people have always had towards black people. But look, it's the opposite. Okay, it's the opposite. Somebody said, according to some study, white people are the ones who have is it 36% more chances of getting of having lice than black people. Why is that the case? Why is that the case? That proves that, yeah, it's not what has always been there. Black people have been looking at themselves as, yeah, I think we are prone to having lice based on our skin color or what. But, it's not what it is now. We can look at black hair. Somebody, like that comment I read, somebody said, lice doesn't love black hair. So, yeah, that's it. Theme number 5, broader conversations about history, about identity, about biology and society. With many speakers offering like a very different explanation for the issues they believe they are seeing. So those are things that were mentioned in this video. Some could relate it to history, some could relate it to some sort of biology, like all those things. But whether you agree with every speaker or you don't agree, it's okay. But I think there's one thing which is hard to deny, which we cannot, we can't refuse. The discussion forced the people to question assumptions they have been, accepted, for years. What black people have been believing about themselves just because somebody wrote a certain book, like a racist white person wrote a book, and black people have been believing that. But you can say it's the opposite. Black people can even be cleaner than these people who think they are clean just because their skin is white. And sometimes asking those questions, it's always good. It's exactly how conversations begin to change. So anyway, let me know what exactly is your thought. But for me, the takeaway message is, you have lice no matter your skin color, in as far as you don't take care of yourself. That's it. It's not about black people. It's not about what kind of color of the skin is. It's not about that. If you ignore, definitely, So I don't know how true is that, where somebody said somebody died because of lice. But that's the thing. It doesn't matter your skin color. What does it mean at the end of the day? It means we are all human beings. We have same problems. Okay, we have similar problems. So yeah, that's what I wanted to be like the takeaway message. What do you think? What exactly is your take? Are you white? Are you black? What's your experience about these hygiene issues? What exactly? So anyway, let me know from you. If this is your first time, please subscribe so we can have more of these racial discussions. I love that you came. See you next time.